Welcome back to Real Reviews with Ryan Stark, the show where I jab at cinema, uppercut nostalgia, and occasionally drop a salty PG-13 word or two because I have no filter. Today, we're stepping into the cinematic ring with one of the most gloriously over-the-top movies of the 1980s, Rocky IV. Can you believe this thing is 40 years old? Released in 1985, Rocky IV wasn't just a movie, it was a cultural event, a Cold War fever dream, and a music video disguised as a boxing drama. This flick gave us training montages so good they should be preserved in the Library of Congress, a villain who looked like he was sculpted out of Soviet steel, and a soundtrack that still makes me want to sprint up a mountain. We're going to talk about its legacy, James Brown belting out Living in America like a national anthem on steroids, and how the story rippled all the way forward to Creed II in 2018. Get your gloves laced, folks. This one's going the distance. So here's the setup. Rocky Balboa, America's favorite underdog-turned-champ, finds himself pulled into a global showdown when Soviet powerhouse Ivan Drago challenges Apollo Creed to an exhibition fight. Creed, in all his star-spangled glory, decides to accept. He struts into the ring in an outfit that screams, "I'm Captain America's cooler cousin," while James Brown performs Living in America live. It's flashy, it's campy, it's amazing. It makes you want to get up and start dancing. And my parents tell me that when they went to see the movie in 1985, almost everyone in the theater were dancing when this part of the movie came out. That just shows you just how profound this was. And then? Drago absolutely destroys him. Apollo dies in the ring, leaving Rocky devastated. Cue the guilt trip, the patriotic fury, and Rocky deciding to fight Drago himself, in Moscow, no less. No sanctioning bodies, no regulation, just East versus West, man versus machine, democracy versus communism. Subtlety? Nah. Rocky IV is a Cold War sledgehammer, and we love it for that. Not just because it's a boxing movie, but because it showed us the true meaning of American spirit versus Soviet might, delivered through excessive montages, synth music, and a climactic fight that transcended sport to become a global political event. Let's pause for a second to talk about Apollo Creed. Carl Weathers was a goddamn icon. He brought charisma, athleticism, and gravitas to a character who started out as Rocky's rival and became his closest friend. His death is one of the most shocking moments in the entire series, a brutal, narrative pivot that raises the stakes, making the subsequent clash with the terrifying Ivan Drago a deeply personal quest for vengeance. And the way it happens? It's wrapped in spectacle. James Brown belting Living in America while Apollo dances in red, white, and blue shorts? That's peak 80s excess. It's so absurdly patriotic it loops back around to being genius. The song itself became an anthem, still played at sports arenas everywhere, and in the context of the movie, it's this bright, gaudy prelude to tragedy. And I know a thing or two about unexpected plot twists, which is exactly what Drago delivers. He shuts down the party with devastating speed and raw, terrifying Soviet power, showing the cost of Apollo's spectacle and hubris. Every time I rewatch the movie, I can feel it. You're laughing at Apollo's grand entrance, and then 10 minutes later you're gutted watching him fall. It's a roller coaster of tone that only Rocky IV could pull off. Dolph Lundgren as Ivan Drago is terrifying. The man barely speaks, but every line is iconic. If he dies, he dies. That's not just a quote, it's a Cold War mic drop. The kind of mic drop that frightened an entire generation and perfectly encapsulated the chilling, emotionless threat of the Soviet machine. Drago is portrayed as the ultimate machine, chemically enhanced, scientifically trained, a product of the Soviet system. He's Rocky's complete opposite, cold, clinical, brutal. And yet, Lundgren sneaks in just enough humanity that you catch glimpses of a man trapped in propaganda. That's what makes him last. He's not just a one-note villain, He's the embodiment of a system that eats people alive and only finds his own voice when he fights back against his Soviet handlers at the end. And when that happened, I found myself cheering for a man who broke free from his prison and decided to do things his way. Okay, let's talk about the montages, because Rocky IV basically turned the word into a genre. We've got Rocky chopping wood, running in snow, lifting rocks, and literally climbing a mountain like he's auditioning for a Soviet Bear Grylls special. Meanwhile, Drago's in a high-tech facility, juicing up, hooked to machines, punching sensors that track his PSI. It's nature versus science, grit versus tech, America versus Russia, all told through sweat and synth beats, a brilliant piece of visual shorthand that perfectly sums up the film's entire political and thematic conflict. And I don't care how many times I've seen it, when Rocky screams Drago, at the top of that mountain, I'm ready to fight a polar bear with my bare hands. And I'm a toy. That's true cinema. It's the peak emotional payoff of the montage, symbolizing raw, human spirit overcoming all technological and geographical barriers. One thing Rocky IV nails is correcting a mistake from earlier in the franchise. Remember Rocky III? Rocky got complacent, soft, distracted by fame, which led to him being badly beaten by Clubber Lang. He had to learn humility again, and also be trained by Apollo in a satisfying montage. But here, he's not fighting for money or belts. He's fighting for Apollo, for America, for dignity, and that shift makes his return to the primitive, mountain training camp feel earned and far more consequential. Indeed, it's a return to basics, stripped-down training, focus, raw determination. Rocky corrects his own ego, becoming the hungry fighter again, which is why the audience buys into him standing toe-to-toe with a literal superhuman. That's how Drago determined that Rocky wasn't human, that he was made of iron during their ultimate fight, a testament to human spirit and will prevailing over chemical enhancement and the supposed superiority of the Soviet system and its technology. Let's fast forward to 2018 and Creed II. This is where Rocky IV's legacy ultimately pays off. Adonis Creed, Apollo's son, faces Victor Drago, Ivan's son. It's generational storytelling, but it's also emotional closure, especially for everyone who had watched Rocky IV and felt the raw, unresolved tragedy of Apollo's death. The sequel successfully uses the original's emotional core to build a compelling new narrative about legacy, forgiveness, and finding one's own path. For Rocky, training Adonis is a way to atone for not throwing in the towel when Apollo fought Drago. For Ivan, pushing his son into the fight is about reclaiming pride lost decades ago. And for Adonis, it's about stepping out of his father's shadow and defining himself. Victor, however, must break free from his father's shadow and take charge of his own destiny. These four characters are bound by a powerful, intergenerational web of grief, rivalry, and nationalistic shame, creating a richer, more emotionally resonant conflict than the original film's simple Cold War allegory. The beauty is that Creed II transforms the cartoonish Cold War grudge match of Rocky IV into a deeply personal, multi-layered drama. Suddenly, Apollo's death isn't just a plot device, it's the emotional cornerstone of an entire saga that spans 40 years. That's storytelling magic, giving Ivan Drago a tragic, post-Soviet downfall and providing Victor a relatable pressure that turns a caricature into a sympathetic antagonist fighting for his father's ruined reputation and his own dignity. So, what's the verdict, 40 years later? Rocky IV is both ridiculous and brilliant. It's a propaganda piece and a heartfelt drama. It's a music video stitched to a sports movie. And yet, it's one of the most beloved entries in the franchise because it captures the spirit of the 80s and the essence of Rocky, resilience, heart, and the belief that even the smallest man can shake the world. And Rocky did. It's a perfect time capsule, with its high-stakes political drama and iconic sound, proving that cinematic excess, when coupled with genuine emotional stakes, like avenging Apollo, can forge an enduring cultural phenomenon. And that closing speech, Rocky telling a stadium of Soviets that if I can change, and you can change, everybody can change, is pure cheese, but it's also pure hope. In 1985, that hit like a thunderbolt. In 2025, it still resonates. It's a powerful, idealistic moment that transcends the boxing ring, transforming a simple revenge match into a plea for global peace and mutual understanding between two rival superpowers, delivered with Stallone's signature earnestness. Rocky IV is the ultimate time capsule, Cold War politics, neon excess, and one hell of a soundtrack. But it's also timeless because it's about friendship, loss, and the courage to keep fighting, even if the odds are stacked against you. And hey, 40 years later, we can still blast Living in America at full volume, shadowbox in our living rooms, and remember Apollo Creed dancing in red, white, and blue. That's the magic of cinema, it sticks with you long after the movie ends. This is Ryan Stark, signing off from Real Reviews with Ryan Stark. Keep your gloves up, your montages epic, and your soundtracks loud. Until next time, go the distance, never give up, and remember that a Russian's bark is 10 times worse than its bite, but don't challenge them to a fight unless you can win.
This episode of Real Reviews with Ryan Stark was written by Ryan Stark, Amelia Cruz, and Jacqueline Meyer and produced by Princess Toynerd Studios. Any illegal downloading and or redistribution on YouTube or other video sharing websites will result in you losing your YouTube channel as well as possible legal action. Please support the Princess Toynerd YouTube channel by watching, liking, and sharing this video with your friends, and subscribing for more original content and upcoming movie reviews every week.